Should Lyle and Erik Menendez spend the rest of their life behind bars? That's what the new show on Netflix, Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story, wants to ask us. We all get to be a part of the jury. Not officially, of course, but this show is putting us in the perspective of a juror, basically, and presenting to us two different stories throughout this series. It is up to us to form an opinion, and of course, our opinion doesn't really carry much weight in the end, but we're still entitled to have an opinion, and that is what this show is giving us. So with that being said, let's talk about Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story. On the evening of August 20th, 1989, José and Kitty Menendez were sitting at home watching TV when their sons burst into the room and blew them all to hell with shotguns. It was a pretty horrific and brutal crime that really captured a lot of attention because it initially looked like a mafia hit. This show wastes no time jumping right in and showing us this fateful night. We get to see it pretty much right away, and then we get to see what was leading up to it, what happened with Lyle and Erik before and after this murder. Now, I don't want to get bogged down repeating shit you probably already know. I'm assuming that you have watched this show, so you already know the details of this stuff. So let's just get into talking about the show itself. The acting in this show is truly exceptional, and that is what really stands out about the show. Every performance in the show, big or small, is exceptional. But of course, the show's true standouts are Nicholas Alexander Chavez and Cooper Koch. Both of these actors put a tremendous amount of effort into making sure that the people that they were portraying were done correctly. They wanted to make sure that this story was told the right way and authentically. And Cooper Koch actually visited with Lyle and Erik just to make sure that he was understanding who he was portraying and hear their story from them. I have not seen Cooper Koch in anything before, but I have to say I am hoping I see way more of him. This guy is a very talented actor, and there is a particular episode in this season that really stands out as truly like an Emmy-winning performance. Episode 5, The Hurt Man, is a haunting and extremely difficult episode to watch and listen to, but its execution was stunning. It was all done in one shot, and it pretty much consisted of an over-the-shoulder shot of the lawyer talking to Erik, and throughout the episode, it slowly zoomed in until by the end, Erik was taking up the full frame. This was such a well-done episode. Every single part of this conversation between these two felt natural. This did not feel like acting at all. This conversation, it seemed like I was watching it as if it was happening for the first time. And I want to make sure I give credit to Ari Graynor as well, because she was also phenomenal in this episode. This episode literally featured just two actors. Two actors carried a 36-minute episode, and both of them really excelled. Javier Bardem and Chloë Sevigny are both excellent in this series as well. Javier gives it his typical 110%, and he really brings José to life with an authentic portrayal that is just excellent. In the earlier episodes of this series, we see José as abusive and mean, but then in the later episodes, you see a completely different side of him, and that is what I think the show is trying to do. It is showing you two different perspectives. Was he this abusive, horrible person, or was he more the second version where he was just, sure, sometimes harsh, but not nearly the person that his sons made him out to be? If he really did all the abusive stuff that the boys have said that he did, then he is probably rotting in hell. But if he did not, then both him and Kitty are just dead for no reason. Other than money, of course. That is the prevailing theory, is that these boys did it for money. People tend to think that when they adapt TV shows about killers, that it is glorifying the killer, and that is not what I think it is doing, and I definitely don't get that vibe from this. I don't think that this show is making it seem like Lyle and Erik are awesome or badass for killing their parents. I think that this show is trying to show us their story and offer us the chance to form an opinion and decide what we think is an appropriate punishment for them and for the abuse that they allegedly encountered. Do you think that if someone is abused to this extent, they have the right to snap? By the way, we all have a breaking point. Every single one of us has a breaking point. You have a breaking point. Trust me, I have a breaking point. We are all capable of snapping. And that is one of the things that concerns me about us having guns, because knowing that anybody and everybody is capable of hitting this breaking point, and that there's a lot of people with guns out there, it's it's just kind of concerning. And you look at the world and you see that other countries are not having this issue. It is an epidemic in this country. You can't call it a pandemic because other countries don't have it nearly like we do. This is an epidemic. I'm getting nervous just going places. I find that when I go out to public places, I'm literally looking at the exits to try to figure out what's going to be the best escape plan. What kind of way is that to live? So I think that the show is not glorifying violence. I think that it is showing us violence and explaining to us how it happens. Ryan Murphy has created a show that is truly powerful. The acting in this show is remarkable. The way the show is told, I loved the structure of it. I like a good courtroom show, and I do enjoy a good crime show. I find that, yes, there are two sides to every story, and I do like that this show gave me another side. Now, certain killers for sure are just 100% evil, like Dahmer. This guy was doing horrific, disgusting, horrible things to the people. He was eating the people. You can't really say that this was a reaction to abuse or self-defense. You know, that guy is a complete monster. But Lyle and Erik Menendez, their story might not be so black and white, and that is what I think this show does so well at explaining. It's hard to understand what these boys did, why they did it, what was their true motivations, and this show doesn't really tell you the answer to that question. It asks the question. For me, the show is a 9 out of 10. I liked a lot about it. It was just very enthralling. I felt very pulled in the entire time. The performances were fantastic. Everybody was great. Cooper Koch, Nicholas, I don't want to say his entire name because it's long, Javier Bardem. This was a very good cast. I very much enjoyed it. And by the way, let's talk about that last shot of this show. It is the boat scene again, and it's just a completely different version of that scene yet again. I think that was a brilliant way to end the show. It really just hammered home the fact that this show is meant to make you ask questions. That scene was shown so many times throughout the show, and you really feel like each time the story is a little bit different. I think that was a brilliant way to end the show. What did you guys think of this show? Put your thoughts on it in the comments and let me know. Did you like this video? If you did, please hit the like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, subscribe to this channel. Later.